Bones make up the skeletal system, and bone is a living tissue. It's called osseous tissue, and it's classified as a type of connective tissue. The skeletal system itself includes bones. There are 206 bones in adults, and cartilage that is typically used to either protect bones or connect one bone to another bone. The skeletal system has several different functions in our body. The most obvious, perhaps, is that it helps to support the body. So without bones or without a skeleton, we would just be a sack of skin and muscle and nerves and fat, but we would just be kind of a big blob on the floor. And we wouldn't be able to stand up and move around and have posture, etc., etc. It also helps to facilitate movement. So muscles are attached to bones, and you are able to move things like your limbs because the muscles contract and they pull on the bones in order to move the bones around. The skeletal system also has a protective function. So if you think about your ribs, your rib cage is a very protective structure that protects your lungs and your heart, which are vital organs to survival. The skull protects your brain, and the pelvis protects your reproductive organs. So these are all bony structures that help to protect some really vital organs. Blood cells are also produced in bone. So there's a tissue called red bone marrow, and you can see it in the picture here. That red bone marrow is where new red blood cells and white blood cells are made. There's also another type of marrow. You can see it a little bit here, but we'll see it better on a cross-section of a picture of a bone on a later slide. But yellow marrow is fat that's stored in part of the bone as well. And in some cultures, eating that yellow marrow is a really good source of energy or calories. And even in the United States, there are some restaurants that will serve the marrow of bones as kind of like a delicacy, if you will, because it's fat. So I've heard that it tastes a lot like butter, and that it's just got like a really nice, rich flavor to it. Your bones also store and release minerals. The main one is calcium, although there are other minerals that are also found in your bones. So if you eat extra calcium, it gets stuck to your bones to make your bones nice and strong. But if you don't have enough calcium in your blood, your body can actually take some of the calcium from your bones to put it back into your blood. And you need that calcium in your blood because you need calcium for muscle contractions and nerve impulses. So if there's a tug of war between your blood and your bones for calcium, you have to think about which is more important. So if you have a limited amount of calcium, you can either have strong bones or muscles such as the heart contracting. Hopefully you can see that a contracting heart muscle is more important than strong bones. So that's why when your blood calcium levels get too low, your blood can steal it from your bones in order to put it back in the bloodstream. Now in bone tissue, so this is a kind of a cross section of part of bone, and the cells are primarily these little dark spots here. We'll talk about those a little bit more. And then the kind of beige or tan color is mostly the extracellular matrix. So bone is a connective tissue, and so it's really made up of mostly extracellular matrix with a little bit of cells, which remember they're the small dark spots right here, are just kind of scattered within that extracellular matrix. Now there are 4 types of cells that are associated with bone tissue: osteoblasts, osteocytes, osteogenic cells, and osteoclasts. And you've probably noticed that osteo is a prefix associated with bone tissue. So osteoblast, anytime you see a cell name that has blast in it, Blast means to make something. So a chondroblast is a cell that makes cartilage. A fibroblast is a cell that makes protein fibers. So in bone tissue, osteoblasts are cells that make the bone tissue itself. And those osteoblasts are located on the internal and external bone surfaces, which we'll take a look at on a future slide. It helps to form new bone by producing collagen fibers. Collagen is a type of protein, and those collagen fibers get kind of encrusted or covered in calcium minerals. And after the osteoblasts have basically made extracellular matrix all the way around them, they become known as osteocytes. So osteocytes are these little dark spots here. These are the cells that are each in their own little space or pocket, and each pocket is called a lacuna. All right, so remember all the beige stuff out here is extracellular matrix, and all the little black dots, these are little spaces with an osteocyte in them. So remember, these osteocytes used to be osteoblasts, but as they produce matrix around them, it's kind of like they paint themselves into a corner. So they paint or they make the matrix all the way around them, and then they're stuck in this little pocket of the matrix that they made. So once osteoblasts become osteocytes, they still have a role in helping to maintain the matrix of bone. So they can sense when there is stress on part of a bone and trigger more extracellular matrix to be made in the area that's experiencing the stress to help your bones get stronger where they need to get stronger. The lacunae, so lacuna right here is singular. Lacunae, so if you were to put an E on there, that would be plural. And so each lacunae, or each lacuna is connected to other lacunae by these small canals called canaliculi. So this word canaliculi sounds kind of like I'm saying, can I lick your eye? These canaliculi are these kind of small lines that are kind of radiating out from the center, and they're connecting one lacuna to another lacuna. And this allows cellular extensions from the osteocytes to reach out and be in contact with each other so that this osteocyte can communicate with this osteocyte. And this osteocyte can communicate with this one, and this one can communicate with this one, etc., etc. Now, osteoclasts are located in roughly the same area where you would find osteoblasts, but they actually do the opposite of what osteoblasts do. So osteoclasts actually break down the extracellular matrix of bone. So it helps with remodeling bones. So we'll talk a little bit about this more later, but your bones adjust to how you use them. So when your bone experiences stress in certain areas, the bone tissue in that area will become kind of thicker and build up. But in order to do that, the osteoclast might go in and kind of break down some bone matrix in another area. That keeps your bones from getting too heavy, but making sure that they are thicker in the areas where they need to be thicker and thinner in the areas where they don't experience as much stress. We also mentioned that one of the functions of bone was to release calcium into the blood. And the osteoclasts are the cells that can break down the extracellular matrix to release that calcium back into the blood. So the extracellular matrix itself is made up of collagen fibers and minerals. So the collagen fibers are made by the osteoblasts, and collagen has a bit of a flexibility to it. So you've got a lot of collagen in the deeper layers of your skin. And so notice how your skin has a little bit of flexibility. If you pinch it, it can rebound back to its original shape. Now the minerals encrust around the collagen fibers. So if you're familiar with rock candy, so that's what this picture is here. Rock candy is formed by taking a string and soaking it in really, really concentrated sugar water. And what happens is as the water evaporates, the sugar forms crystals that stick to the string or the stick. And this is kind of what your bone is like, where the collagen fiber is the protein that makes up the string, and then the calcium in your body forms these crystals around the string. And so this is making up all this stuff here, all the tan stuff that is outside of the osteocytes in the lacuna. All right, so you've got your collagen fibers, and then you've got your minerals, which is mostly calcium. Now, the collagen fibers help to give your bones a little bit of flexibility, and the minerals help to make your bones strong. And you need a mixture of both because you need strong bones in order to hold yourself up, but your bones need to have a little bit of flexibility so that they can withstand stress. So for example, when you jump and you land back on the ground, your bones are able to bend a little bit to absorb some of that impact. If you didn't have the collagen, then your bones would just break as soon as you landed. But vice versa, if you have not enough minerals, then your bones might be too flexible, and then your bones would actually bend under the weight of your body. So you have to have a kind of a homeostasis level of both the collagen fibers and the minerals of the extracellular matrix.